Hello, my name is Gabriel and today I'm going to be filming my November wrap-up. Now, I don't usually do these, but November I read with enough diversity that I think I can make a decent wrap-up, so let's do this. The first book I finished this month was my second time reading Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I've been through this. I love Cinder, one of the best young adult books that I've ever read. That is obviously why I decided to reread it, and since I have enough time to reread books, I am doing that as much as I can, because maybe there will come a day where I will have so many books that I won't have time to reread any, but as of right now, this point in my life, I can reread as much as I want, and so I am taking advantage of that. I cannot wait to read Scarlet and Cress, which I am seriously thinking of buying this month because I am so in love with this story. I gave Cinder 5 out of 5 stars because for me, a book doesn't need a lot to have 5 stars. If I enjoy it, if the plot is original, if the characters are likable, if the world is interesting enough, I definitely give it 5 stars. It's a fairy tale retelling and a very good one. Marissa Meyer is...
Whoa.
I just love what I've read from her, which is one book, but I love, yes, Cinder. The second book that I read this month was the short story The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. In case you haven't noticed, I really like Once Upon a Time, and this season we get introduced to a character, the Snow Queen, and I decided to read the original tale because a friend recommended it to me, and it was okay. I had a lot of trouble understanding it because of the prose, the English, the writing to me was a little advanced, but I think for a story it's really original and I liked it. I think Once Upon a Time is doing a pretty decent job at portraying the Snow Queen, which is one of my favorite characters this season. I gave the short story 4 out of 5 stars. The third book that I finished this month was The Selection by Kiara Cass. I decided to get this book in November because it was at such a cheap price on the book depository, and I do not regret it at all. I really like The Selection. My major problem was the writing style. I think it was a little lacking. Also, the world building could have been better, but other than that, the story is very good. I really liked plot, but the main thing that I enjoyed were the characters. Like, seriously, Maxon and America, no word. I really enjoyed their chemistry and their relationship throughout the novel, and I cannot wait to see where it goes throughout the rest of the series. I gave The Selection 4 out of 5 stars. Cannot wait to read the rest. The next book that I read this month was The Door to Time by Ulysses Moore, and this is kind of like Geronimo Stilton. Someone is writing it, but under the name of one of the characters. This book is originally in Italian and was translated to Portuguese. I feel very mixed about it. It was definitely very young. It's a middle grade book. It captured my attention enough for me to finish the book, but something about it was just not there. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely not continuing with the series. This has like 20 short books, which I find are not necessary to continue. But this book is about 2 siblings who move into a house. This house had been previously owned by this Ulysses Moore, who was a very mysterious character that no one knew anything about in the whole village, which is in England. And so apparently this guy had left clues to some kind of treasure. It's the siblings and a friend of their story as they uncover it, I believe. It's interesting, but it's young. I would recommend it to a younger person who likes adventure and mystery, but not to a teenager. The next book I read this month was Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepard. I am a huge fan of this TV show since the early years, and when I saw that the first book was free on iBooks, I had to get it. I read it, and I ended up being really surprised, yet enjoying it at the same time. It's so different from the TV series. The atmosphere that is set in the book is almost another one from the TV series. You get so much more detail, and you understand the whole picture a lot more than what you do in the TV series. I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars, and I am obviously always talking about books, and in a conversation I casually mentioned that I was reading the first one, and a friend of mine said that she owned the second one. She asked me if I wanted to borrow, and I obviously said yes. So this month I will be reading the second one, which in English is called Flawless, in Portuguese Belas e Perigosas, which is not flawless, it means beautiful and dangerous. And I love that they stuck to the first title. The title of all books are just two words that contradict each other. I find that really original. And the covers, the TV show covers, are so much better than those ugly doll ones. And if I were ever to buy these series, I would definitely buy in Portuguese because the covers are so much better. And this is one of my favorite images of the Pretty Little Liars. Like, it's gorgeous. The final book I read in November is The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. When I saw this in my school library, I remember that this is mandatory reading in the United States, and I decided to pick it up because this was one of the inspirations for The Maze Runner, which I enjoyed, contrary to most people's opinions on the book, and so I wanted to read it. And I'm pretty sure it was because of the translation, but I did not understand most of the book. Now, I try to avoid translated books as much as I can because to me, when a book is translated, it loses its touch, its magic. I have read the Hunger Games trilogy in Portuguese and in English, and the ambience that involves the language is so different, and in English it's so much better that I try to read as much in English as I possibly can. So I went on Goodreads and people said this book was disturbing and very horrifying, and I did not understand why because I was in the beginning. It was just some boy stranded on an island, and as the book progressed it is very disturbing. I did not rate this book because I honestly don't know what to give it. I would prefer to rate it when I read it in English so I can understand it better, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I did not find the story very compelling or very interesting. It made me really sick, actually. It was really not my type of reading, but it's something that I can say I've read and did not enjoy. Yeah. This book I have not yet finished, but I am currently reading, and that is book 1 of the Dark Elf trilogy, Homeland by R.A. Salvatore. I decided to include this one because I was really pleasantly surprised at how this book was. I haven't finished it, but I am really enjoying the story. In this underground society, there are these dark elves coexist with a bunch of other creatures, but these are kind of like at the top of the food chain. They are the evilest of creatures, the dark elves. They murder and cheat on each other, and they do anything for power. And one day, the protagonist, which is called Drist Diurten, something like that, is born, and this dark elf is different because he doesn't believe in this murder and living for power complex. He is actually genuinely worried about the people's safety. This is him trying to survive in a society that just is the exact opposite of him. I'm really enjoying it. I have never really understood what high fantasy was, but I'm pretty sure this would qualify for high fantasy. I cannot wait to see how this finishes. This is again a trilogy. This is also my friend's book, another friend, but she decided to lend it to me. The thing that caught my attention was the cover because I really like it. You probably can't understand it from the lighting, but this is a dark elf with a panther, and I really like this cover, and so she just borrowed it to me, and I'm really enjoying it. I am not doing a TBR for December because I'm going to be reading a lot in December. I am ordering books because I got a lot of money. People are borrowing me books, people are getting me books, so a lot of books are going to be read by me in December. And that is it for my November wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed the books that I've read and me talking about them. What books have you read in November? What did you think of any of the books that I showed here today? I would love to know your thoughts. Stay tuned for more videos. Goodbye! I read them. Whoa, like, yeah. Next book that I read this month, yeah. Pretty Little Liars by Oi.